So, full tang, touchy subject. Generally means the steel goes from the knife blade, the very end of the knife blade, all the way through the handle to the end. So it doesn't stop here, it doesn't stop here. The tang goes all the way through. The tang is where it is no longer blade but still steel. So some very important and passionate discussions have been held and continue to be held every day as to when the term full tang is appropriate. So, slab handle full tang gang. These guys, they say that it is only a full tang knife if you can see the tang at the bottom and the tang on the top of the handle. The handle is bolted to the sides of the knife, keeping that tang front row center for all to see. Only then, they say, is it a full tang knife. Next up is enclosed handle full tang gang. These guys say a knife can still be full tang as long as a piece of steel that is the same thickness and part of the same piece as the knife blade goes all the way through the handle, and this does allow for their handles to enclose the tang fully. Maybe the tang is reduced slightly. How much do you reduce it for it to be full? Is that an oxymoron to begin with? The battles rage on. And then, in addition to this, further complicating the matter, skeletonization. Where does that fit on the pantheon of full tangness? Now, debates between slab handle full tang gang and enclosed but full tang gang never seem to get resolved, probably because they get called away to do other things like saving the president or competing in the sex Olympics. Cool guy stuff. But what both generally do agree on is that having the tang go all the way through the handle makes for a stronger and generally better knife. But today, I'm not playing for either of those gangs. I'm talking about an underclass of fixed blade knives, the ones where the tangs are hidden within the handles. When you do 360-degree views of these knives, you see only harmless plastic butts. But these knives are still great and still deserve some recognition. And you would be surprised how many of the world's favourite fixed blade knives have no tang to be seen at all. Let's get into my two current favourites, the two subjects for this review, the Bill Moran and the Hogue Tanto. Alright, first up, Spyderco Bill Moran. Look, it's an older knife, and usefully this version isn't even available to you anymore, this black bladed version. You can still get it, however, in the satin finish, so just the shiny silver steel finished versions of this one, the drop point, and the stabbier trailing point version. Look, I love this knife. It is really comfortable in the hand. The tang goes about 2/3 of the way into this little round handle. It's a very much Bill Moran handle. You see his custom work. Mother of God. This is Bill Moran through and through, just on a production scale. The steel, it's VG10. VG10 holds its edge well enough for a stainless steel that is not powdered, and by measuring via my extensive rope cutting tests, it seems to be generally a good deal longer on the edge than AUS 8, but a noticeably smaller amount of edge retention than 154 cm and AUS 10. Definitely mid-range, non-powdered stainless steel. This knife excels for fine carving work, food prep, and general utility. Its short blade will probably limit you from overextending and trying the super hard stuff like battening and that sort of thing, but it'll most certainly still split small bits of wood into chopstick type bits and whatnot if you really needed to do that. The real winner here though is its lightweight and super comfy rubbery handle, as well as its versatile grips and uses. It comes with a little sheath which can be moved and angled as you preference with a little clamp belt attachment here. You pay about 110 America bucks for the Bill Moran. I only paid 150 Australia dollary dues for this version here, even though it is the last of its run, and a bit of a limited edition. I was hesitant to use this too much, but I found that the coating actually does stay on pretty well, even despite being, used for standard general tasks. It's a really nice knife, and would serve very well in like an everyday carry utility knife, fixed blade kind of role. Great for backpacking. The lightweight is excellent. I'll put all the specs up on the screen now. And for a knife that is probably not, you know, a super high seller, I'm glad that they still continue to make the Spyderco Bill Moran. Hunters, bushcrafters, hikers, I think you'd find some good use for this series of knives. You can choke up, you can choke back, whatever you do, it's a treat for the palm. The Spyderco Bill Moran. So this one here is a more blade heavy combat style affair. It's designed to pierce. The 154 cm steel on the blade, according to my tests, holds a demonstrably longer edge than VG10 and most other non-powdered stainless steels, to be honest. Look, I can't see this exact variant on Knife Center anymore, but there is a variant with a different colored handle going for 150 US dollar dues. I was sent this by a viewer, by the way, to keep and review. Scott, thank you. My viewers are awesome like that sometimes. So this one's also really comfortable in hand. The material on the handle has a rubberized plastic on parts of the handle, contrasting nicely with just the regular feeling plastic on the rest of the handle. So you can see this top part here, this rubberization really sinks into the palm well. In the hand, it feels a little bit more blade heavy, which may be a good quality for knives made for fighting. Look, I consulted the book of real life knife fighting stories to double check. But I couldn't come up with a definitive answer. Anyway, this is a really well constructed knife. This is super comfortable in the hand, and the tip and the general blade strength is really good for stabbing tasks and fits just as easily into real life stuff like general utility use as well. Both the Hogue Tanto and the Bill Moran would do great as lightweight, close to the body, everyday carry style fixed blade knives, backpacking utility knives, and yes, the Hogue probably a pretty good soldier's or policeman's knife as well. There are some mechanisms built into this holster, or this, I guess it almost does feel like a holster, the sheath for this knife, because it has this little tab here to stop the knife just being pulled out by, say, an assailant. You have to have some muscle memory going and push this down, and then it comes out of the handle. So it has something of a release. And this does seem like a pretty strong Kydex style material that isn't going to fail too easily. So really, the knife's in there unless you know how to take it out. So pretty cool little feature. Probably expanding the POU of this one just a little bit better. I would say if you're thinking more martially, then the Hogue might be one for you. But if you're thinking of a more lightweight general utility knife, then the Bill Moran is probably the one that I would get. Some people may say that comparing these two knives to each other and describing them in the same video is arbitrary at best because it is not a strong connector between the two purposes. To those people, I say, look at my dogs, aren't they good dogs? Who's a handsome and a pretty doggy, hey? Who's good dogs? Yes they are. Who's the good dogs? Come here. So just remember, as well as the Bill Moran and the Hogue Tanto, there are all sorts of knives that are fixed blades that are not full tang, that are awesome and cool and very good at being fixed blade knives. So you're thinking, of course, of Moras, the trusty Mora that has taken a lot more abuse than even the more prestigious survival knives. None of them are full tang, stick tangs only. My most abused knife is probably this Halterfor's GK. Absolutely gave this a thrashing, tried to break it, but couldn't. Excellent little knife, not full tang. Even the Gurkha Kukri, world famous, hard wearing weapon slash knife, tool made for chopping. In the beginning it was made for chopping cane and agricultural products, and that eventually ended up becoming chopping in the more sort of scary covert jungle warfare sense. Never had an issue with its stick tang. These are still made to the same standard as they've always been, out of car leaf springs, 5160 steel. You can chop with these all day to no detriment whatsoever. So whilst, yes, I would still say full tang, whether it's this kind of full tang, from the full tang slab gang, or whether it is your more enclosed full tang probably is indeed a way of guaranteeing the overall strength of a knife for extreme tasks. However, when it comes to just daily use, don't be scared to say partial tang, fully cool, because otherwise you'll miss out on great little knives like the Bill Moran, or your Hogue Tanto, or your Holtifers GK, or your Mora Companion, or your Ontario Spec Plus Alpha Survival. All sorts of good stuff available with the tang hidden firmly inside the butt. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you have seen something you found interesting. Thanks for choosing this channel to spend your time over the multitude of awesome options out there at the minute. See you all in the next video, guys. Goodbye. Look at my big sleepy kitty. He's such a sleepy kitty. He's so tired, sleeping on the chairs. Hey, where's Mr. Sleepy Kitty? Good kitty. Yeah, he's so sleepy. He's a sleepy kitty. Yeah.